Welcome back to the track, and with the Australian Grand Prix having just passed, which was absolute chaos and honestly the greatest way you could have started this season. And it looks like some of my bold predictions from a video that I'm gonna link somewhere over here are already coming true. So before it's lights out, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, comment on the video what your predictions are, and let's see if we can get this to 10 likes. And away we go. Let's get started with my favorite prediction, and that is Carlos Sainz getting a podium for Williams. Let's take a quick look at what Williams has been doing, because I think they're surprising everybody, including themselves here. I know we're not supposed to take much away from preseason testing, but when you look at the times, Williams did clock the fastest time. Now, when you look at Carlos Sainz's performance this weekend, and from P1 in Q1, he was 4/10 away, 5/10 in Q2, and 9/10 away in Q3. Clearly, Sainz is pretty comfortable with the car. So when you look at all of that data, it kind of looks like Williams were able to put a good car together because of how shitty the conditions were in the race. He did crash out. But look at what Albon was able to do. P5 on the first race. Now imagine what Carlos Sainz, somebody who's won multiple Grand Prix before and has so much experience, is gonna be able to do for the team. I mean, even James Vowles said it, that if it hadn't been because Sainz went back to the pit and helped them figure out a strategy for Albon, they don't think they would have placed where they did. So Williams have clearly done something right. And if they utilize the momentum that they have right now, which is a lot, and carry it over to the next race, and they're able to consistently perform, then it's not Carlos Sainz could get a podium for Williams, is that he will get a podium for Williams. Moving on to my next prediction, which was for Oscar Piastri to outscore Lando Norris. Maybe not in the first race, didn't really expect that to happen, but when you look at the entire weekend and how Oscar performed versus Lando, out of 3 practice sessions, Piastri was faster than Norris in 2 out of 3. If you compare quali times, Oscar was never more than a 10th behind Lando. Lando is now an experienced driver. Granted, so is Oscar, but Lando's been in the sport longer than he has. He has more experience, he has more wins, and look at how close these two are. Less than a 10th. And then when you look at the race, Piastri had more pace than Norris did. Again, it was just the unfortunate spin-offs that caused there to be such a big gap at the end of the race. At one point in lap 30, the team asked Oscar to hold position because they wanted to get their pit stops right, and he said, I don't understand why, I'm faster, but sure, whatever. Next up was Max leaving Red Bull, and I know it's just the first race, but this is something that I'm going to be following very closely as the year progresses. Now, I predicted him to leave for either Aston Martin or Mercedes. When you look at what Mercedes were able to accomplish this weekend, not only did they have a 3-4 on the grid, but Kimi Antonelli was able to bring the car from P16 all the way to P4. Throughout the practice sessions, there were times when Russell was at the top, so the car clearly has pace. All of a sudden, you have 2 cars that finished in the top 6, in the top 5. To Max, that's going to look maybe a little bit appealing. And then when you look at Aston Martin, yes, it was unfortunate that Fernando Alonso had that crash, but Lance Stroll putting the car in P6, not on my bingo card, at least not for the first race, in a race where it was raining. And when you look at everything that Aston Martin has to offer, Adrian Newey, Indy Cowell, Honda, brand new wind tunnel, all of a sudden these 2 teams are starting to look a little bit appealing to Max. And the thing about this weekend is that it wasn't about how well Max did, because Max is always going to do well despite what car he's in. But when the other teams on the grid are showing better pace than Red Bull, teams that have already expressed that they are interested in Max Verstappen, all of a sudden things are looking like maybe Max is going to leave Red Bull. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think about that one. And lastly, the Constructors' Championship being decided at the last race between McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull. No, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren. How this race went is exactly how I predict every race moving forward to be like. When you look at the standings, top 10 teams, there were 7 different constructors. Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes on the top. No double podium for any team. But also, if you looked at the qualifying times and the free practice times, you can see that from like P1 down to P12, P13, sometimes maybe even all the way down to P16, there wasn't really that much of a gap in between drivers. In the midfield, Aston Martin P6, Williams P5. We had Kick Sauber in P8. It took Nico Hülkenberg 1 race to get 3 times the points that they got in all of 2024. So you have 7 different teams in the top 10. Then you have 3 different teams in the podiums. The midfield is ready to take the fight up to the big guys, and these rookies are hungry. This entire season is going to have everybody on the edge of their seat, and every race is going to be just like this. Kimi Antonelli's good. I believe that Isaac Hadjar is more than that spinoff, and I truly, genuinely feel for the kid because you can tell that he was clearly unable to hold on to those emotions to the point where even Lewis's dad came to the rescue. So I think that the mayhem and unpredictability of this first race really did give us a solid sneak peek of what the rest of the year is going to be. And I cannot wait to see Yuki Tsunoda do better than all the other Red Bull drivers, with the exception of Max Verstappen, because I do believe he belongs in that Red Bull seat. So Yuki for Red Bull, Liam, I'm sorry, but maybe you need to go back to RB. This season has the potential for being the greatest season that has ever existed in Formula 1. And it's only gonna get better from this point on. So to make sure you guys don't miss out on any future videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. Don't forget, let's get this to 10 likes. And until the next one, box. I don't have anything clever to say for this one, so I'll see you next video.